and the omnibus. So I was forced into the Archers when I was a child. And look, it's come back to bite me later on. I'm awash with this stuff.
The Archers is the world's longest-running radio show, with more than 15,000 episodes broadcast. Despite being a rural flavour show, The Archers is recorded in the heart of...
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking at some seemingly ordinary moments, chats in a pub, family discussions, but finding some pretty sharp insights hidden inside.
That's right. We've got this audio excerpt, and it's full of clues about how we connect, or sometimes disconnect, with tech and with each other.
Yeah, and we're going to dig into these moments, sort of cut through the everyday noise and pull out those aha moments for you.
Exactly. We're looking at how technology shapes our interactions, how relationships face hurdles, and, those funny little everyday quirks too. The goal is really to understand the choices people make and the pressures they feel.
Okay, let's unpack this. First up, that classic modern question. Is your phone helping or hindering your social life? We kick off in a pub. There's this character, Kenton, and he's got a pretty strong opinion. He thinks smartphones are eroding our desire to socialize with those in our vicinity.
Which is a big claim, right? I mean, in a world where we're always connected online, how does that change how we act when we're physically with people? It's a real tension.
Definitely. And Kenton doesn't just theorize, he acts. He cooks up this phones off event.
Oh, right, the experiment.
Yeah, and he ropes in Alistair, who honestly just seemed to want a quiet drink because his dad bailed on him.
Understandably, Alistair's hesitant. He's like, what if someone calls? What if Dad or Denise message me? Legitimate concerns for many people.
But Kenton pushes back hard. He actually says, do you want to remain a slave to your mobile phone? Quite dramatic.
Wow, yeah, laying it on thick.
So Alistair kind of gets nudged into this experiment. He ends up having to talk to this local novelist, Drew Clunes.
And how did that go for Alistair?
Well, Alistair said Drew was very sociable, maybe too sociable. Apparently, Drew was trying to give me his number.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, Alistair's take was it took all my skills in diplomacy to get out of the conversation, and his final word on future phone-free nights. As long as I'm not in that night. Pretty clear signal.
Right. So, not exactly a roaring success from Alistair's point of view. It sounds more like an awkward encounter he had to escape.
Exactly. But here's the kicker. Kenton declares the whole thing a success.
A success? Based on what? Alistair's discomfort.
Apparently. He's immediately planning an evening of phone-free socializing.
See, that's fascinating. That massive gap between Kenton's perception and Alistair's actual experience. It really shows how one person's idea of good socializing can be totally different for someone else.
Yeah, it makes you question how much we push our own social ideals onto others.
Absolutely. And not everyone was even willing to try Kenton's experiment, were they?
Not at all. Eddie just flat out refused to give up his phone. He asked Kenton, "What would you take me for? A mug?"
Okay, so Eddie's drawing a clear boundary there, and that really highlights it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
People have very different levels of attachment to their phones and different ideas about personal space. You can't just force people into these social experiments.
Yeah, that digital tether is strong for some people.
Yeah.
Okay, so from public spaces and phone experiments, let's shift gears quite dramatically.
Right, into something much more personal.
We're moving to a story about love, family, and, some pretty unconventional circumstances. It involves Amber, who's engaged to George.
And George is currently in prison.
Exactly, which, straight away, presents a whole layer of complexity. It challenges all the usual ideas about getting engaged, planning a wedding.
It's definitely not the standard narrative society expects.
And Amber's approach is also unconventional, her plan. An online engagement reveal for my followers before she tells her own parents.
Wow, okay, why?
She says her parents don't really understand me and they don't really know much about George. There's clearly a disconnect there already.
Right, and her friend Emma tries to step in.
Yeah, Emma gives some gentle advice. She asks about telling the parents about wanting a clean slate, making the wedding special. She suggests focusing on the practical things like choose the venue, the cake, find your dress, taking it slow.
Trying to ground her a bit, maybe.
Seems like it. Emma even shares this really personal story about her own second wedding. Her ex-husband was actually the best man. Yeah, she shares it as, quote, proof you can have a clean start with people you might have a difficult time with. Trying to offer some hope, I guess.
That's quite an anecdote. But did it help? What happened next with Amber and her parents?
Well, not long after, Amber turns up on Emma and Ed's doorstep with suitcases. She's left her parents' place, calling it the pesky annex.
Oh dear. So telling them didn't go well.
Not at all. Amber says they didn't understand, they didn't even let me explain properly, and they were really mean about him, about George.
That sounds rough.
Yeah. And Amber then makes this comment, quite a sad one, really. It's always the poor people in the world who are sensitive and the rich ones who are so mean, bringing class into it.
That adds another layer. But what about Emma and Ed? How are they feeling behind the scenes?
Well, privately, they're conflicted. The source says they felt sorry for her, but honestly, they both think the marriage is a terrible idea.
Ah, okay. So they're supportive to her face, but doubtful privately.
Pretty much. They think her parents will be talking her out of it. Ed is very blunt, saying her folks are not going to let her marry some kid they don't know who's inside.
Oof. That's harsh, but maybe realistic from their perspective.
And they make it personal. They say if their own daughter, Kira, proposed something similar, they'd tell her straight, don't do it.
Right. That really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? That conflict between supporting someone you love and trying to protect them from what you see as a potential disaster.
Yeah, where does support end and intervention begin?
Exactly. And it shows how much family expectations and influence come into play, especially when someone makes a choice that's outside the norm. Plus, that comment about rich and poor highlights how social perceptions, maybe prejudices, can really color these family dramas.
It's such a powerful look at all those layers: judgment, expectation, love, fear, all wrapped up in one relationship. You really feel for everyone involved in different ways.
Absolutely. It's messy, like real life often is.
Right, so we've had the big social experiment and the intense family drama, but the sources also gave us some smaller, more everyday moments that are quite revealing too.
Yeah, the little quirks of personality.
Right. Like Eddie again, back in the pub. First, he complains his pint tastes funny,
Okay.
after he's already drunk most of it.
Oh, classic.
And then, when Jolene, the bartender, pours him a fresh one, he takes the nearly empty glass with him.
No, he took the glass.
Took the glass.
That's audacious. A master of the strategic complaint, perhaps.
Seems like it. And it doesn't stop there with Eddie. Later, he gets crisps, ready salted.
Right.
He then claims he actually asked for salt and vinegar.
Okay, simple mistake, maybe.
Maybe, except he's already eaten more than halfway through that pack before he brings it up.
Ah, okay. Getting predictable now.
And when Jolene offers to take the ready salted pack back, what does Eddie say?
Let me guess. Oh no, don't want them to go to waste.
Bingo. I'd hate to see these crisps go to waste. He keeps both packs.
Oh, the cheek. That's pure opportunism, disguised as politeness. Brilliant.
Isn't it? And there was also a quick mention, wasn't there, about a band rehearsal?
Yeah, just a line about some potential members not liking the band's name.
Yeah.
Another small snapshot of everyday negotiation and opinion clashes.
Exactly.
And these little moments, they seem minor, but they're great, aren't they? They show us so much about human behavior, the little negotiations, the complaints, maybe bending the rules a bit.
Yeah, getting away with what you can.
And if you connect it back, it just shows that life isn't only about the big dramas or the big social questions. It's also made up of all these tiny interactions, these little dances we do with each other every day.
That's a good way to put it. So, wrapping this all up, what have we really unearthed today?
Well, we've seen quite a range, haven't we? From Kenton's, shall we say, enthusiastic phone ban.
To Amber's really complex engagement situation.
And even Eddie's crisp strategy. She's shown us this rich picture of how people interact.
It really highlights how we're constantly navigating what society expects or what we think it expects.
Absolutely. And the huge impact of technology now, woven into everything.
Yeah.
Plus, the power of family, sometimes supportive, sometimes really challenging.
Yeah, for better or worse, as you said earlier.
Exactly. It reminds us life is complex, full of these different individual viewpoints and reactions.
And maybe the biggest takeaway for me is that the real story isn't always in the headline moments. Sometimes it's in those small, everyday choices, the tiny interactions that you see what people are really about.
Well said. Which leaves us with a final thought, maybe something for you, the listener, to chew on.
Go on.
How much of our own behavior, online and offline, is genuinely us? And how much is subtly shaped, or maybe not so subtly, by what we think others expect or how we think they see us?
Authenticity versus perception. That's definitely something to ponder.
So
Indeed.
what are you doing now?
Until our next
Just getting ready for the next episode. Just moving mics around.
So what do you do?
I do the spot effects on the arches. Just any movements.
Are you what we call Foley then?
Kind of. Yep.
Okay. And these are all part of the paraphernalia of production.
Yep. That's the ball bar. That's
this one.
Yep. That's.
Hayley so wanted to be in their own place when their baby came. It's due in 2 months. Not much chance of that now. No. I mean, it would have been a stretch for them financially, mind, but I just wish there was something practical I could do to help them, Caroline.
I think The Archers has had this immense popularity over the years, basically because it has always very accurately reflected the reality of life and living in a rural community at whatever